Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this second episode of taking things a little bit further in terms of DNN automation and automating your development website, I would like to touch on Puppeteer. Puppeteer is a technology that it comes in the form of a node module that allows you to automate a Chrome, like basically a browser. And with this technology, you can create a script that does a particular set of manipulations on a web page, and does a ton of other things that I'm not going to go into in this video. But I highly recommend you have a look at that if this interests you. So here on github.com/puppeteer, you'll find the project, and also some guidance on how to add it to your project, basically. So you don't need to install this globally. You can just create a project and use it locally. What I've done is I've set up a project called DNN Puppeteer, which you can find on my own GitHub account, DNN Puppeteer, and we will have a look at some of these scripts that are in there in this video. And if you're interested, take a look. I'll leave a link in the description below. So Puppeteer takes your web page, and then with a jQuery-like syntax, you can target specific elements on that web page. I'm assuming you're familiar with jQuery. And with those elements, you can then perform actions like click or type text in a particular element. Thus, you can automate filling in forms. So here I have my DNN Puppeteer project. I have in the dependencies added Puppeteer, and my initial login script, which is the actual script that clicks on the login link and then logs in as host with DNN host, which is the default combination to log in with, and then changes it to whatever I've set as the password that I will use. And for that, I've got a local settings file here where I will point it to the website. It's .nuke.local, as you can see, and there is a host username and a host password. So the password that I'm going to change it to is DNN host 1. Not very creative, but it will work for our purposes. And the initial login, what it will do is here, this is the Puppeteer script, basically. So we first ask Puppeteer to launch a browser, and you can even run this in the background, like you don't even see the browser window appear, and in that case you will set headless to true. But I'd like to always see the browser, because if something is wrong, then I'll immediately see that in the browser. It might give me a hint as to what is wrong. We create a new page. We have to have a page object when we start working with that. And then I'm going to, within that page, navigate to what is set in the settings as DNN website. And on that website, I'm going to log in using host and DNN host, and then change the password to whatever I've got set as the host password. And here you will see in my authentication script. So this is where I begin to abstract some functionality into functions that I can reuse. That what it does is it will wait for a link to appear and then click on that. And let me just show you how you find these things. So if we go to the login link here, that's the one I would like to click on, and I inspect it. I will see it's got an ID of DNN login, and has login link. You need some way, just like with jQuery, you need some way to identify that link that we're going to click on. And one of the pretty sure ways to target it is to actually go for the ID. There's only going to be one of those on the page. And in fact, the one thing that's pretty unique and is independent on how it's structured is this DNN login underscore enhanced login link, because they actually come from the IDs of the control that are programmed into DNN, and they're fixed. So in this script, what I've done is I said, well, click on whatever there is that has an ID that ends with, that's the $sign here, that ends with DNN login underscore enhanced login link. Once you've clicked on that, you're going to wait for page frames to come up, because in the default operation of DNN, we have pop-ups that come up, and what they do is they load the login control in an iframe. And so that's why we have these frames to wait up for. And the name of it is called iPopup. If that pop-up is there, we're going to wait for the selector login DNN text username, right? So we're going to go back here. I'm going to click on login. And once that comes up, as you can see, if I inspect this, you will see that this has an ID of DNN CTR login DNN text username, right? The text username is typically like the ID of the control in ASP.NET, and then everything that's put in front of it, it happens, depends on the context where that control is embedded. So a good way to target that is, again, to go for end of the ID is this login DNN text username. So last parts of that are going to remain fixed, at least for a few versions probably. Same thing with the password, and same thing with the command login. So once we found the username text box, we're going to go and first we're going to click on the text box. Obviously that's going to put a cursor in the text box. We're going to go to the keyboard and go like type, and type my username, click on the password and type the password, and then click on command login. And this command basically says, well, then we're going to hold on until the page is refreshed, because at this point we get a post back, and we're going to wait for the page to return. And so the initial login does that, the login part, and then the change password stuff comes straight after. And obviously we don't need to navigate there, because as soon as we've logged in using the default password, then that page comes up, and we are just going to wait for the password reset text password control, and type in a new password, and then there's a confirmation box, also a new password, and then click on the button that says command change password, and wait again for that page to come back. At this point in time, that script is done, and the browser will be closed. So it will just vanish again. The way to run this in our script is to cd to where that script lives. So we're going to go to D tools /Puppeteer, and then we're going to run the script, and the script will be initial login, script initial login. Does it? Right, and I should not forget that this is in a subfolder here. And that is our script. So at this point in time, what will happen is, once we've reset our dev site, we will tweak the web.config. We will install it, just calling the website itself, add a bunch of roles, add a bunch of users, add an email directory, so that email will be dropped off, all notifications will be dropped off there, and then go to Puppeteer and do the initial login and set the password correctly for the host. So let's run our script and see what happens. And I'm probably going to pause the recording here because it's going to take a few minutes before we're done. Here we see it firing up. It's filling in the default host password and now resetting the password. And now it's done. There we go. All right, so that is how you can automate the front end through the front end DNN or any website for that matter, but I'm using an example of DNN, and I've shown you how I created a script to automate setting up a development site with users and roles in it, and with the host password reset. So most things are kind of tuned in the way that I'd like them to be tuned before I start actually working on the code and testing that out on that site. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more DNN related stuff.